Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2022 Valspar Championship. This is my picks, and I've added the bet side because we couldn't do that yesterday, but odds are out, so I can give you some look into what I'm looking at from a betting perspective. And then from a picks perspective, this is typically focused more on the large tournament side. This is not for the cash game. So first off and foremost, thank you for stopping by. If you've been with me, I appreciate you guys. There's so many different people out there covering the golf now, and that you guys are sticking with me. I greatly appreciate it. And if you're checking me out for the first time, give me about 30, 45 minutes. You might like how I do what I do, and I just get you the information and try to make it a little entertaining. And with that said, I am going to do a tiny recap of the players because when I talked yesterday in the preview show, it was literally just starting the fourth round, I believe, and so didn't get a chance to do that. All right, so that said, let's talk a little about the players, and then we're going to go into all the analysis for my picks, and we'll wrap it up. All right, so of course, Cam Smith won. What's funny, in my preview show, you saw, I was sitting there trying to think of, looking at the leaderboard, who I thought was going to win at that time, and again, literally the fourth round just teed off, and funny enough, I put a bet, and I didn't even mention this, but I did pop up the little note. I put a bet. The only guy I actually put a bet on Sunday was Cam Smith. Now, I didn't bet him outright to start with, but once I saw that leaderboard, I felt pretty good about him. Also, Kisner, but I think I had Kisner pretty early on, but neither here or there. I was looking for the guys that I knew could putt. It was going to come down, I thought, to the putter. And yeah, ultimately for Cam, it did. I mean, he made 10 birdies. Of course, he made, I think, 4 bogeys, 4 pars. His shot on 17, which I just think it's hilarious after, he kind of looks over and gives that smug look like, yeah, I just did that. But, he talked about that shot on 17 that he was trying to aim like 10 feet left of the pin. And, it started out more on the right and he was waiting for the wind to bring it back. And luckily, all worked out. Now in 18, I felt like I was getting flashbacks of when I picked Cam Champ to win the 3M Open last year, and getting on 18 for Cam Champ, he had water on the right, and for Cam Smith, of course, he hits kind of a fade, which is kind of funny. He says he likes to hit a fade, but I've seen him hit the straight ball, the draw. Like, I don't actually know if he knows sometimes where that driver's going, which of course is the one thing that is kind of his Achilles heel. But he said, of course, he practiced there, plays there a ton. Well, he doesn't play there a ton, but he practices there a bit, and he just has never figured out how to play the 18th hole, which is crazy that he has literally not a club. I belonged to a country club for a while, and there was a certain hole that I literally went out and got a specific club because it was like 240 dead straight through woods, and then it went dead right, and I needed a club that could get me right to that opening. And I'm just shocked that he hit the driver, knowing that he put the ball twice in the water, and that's kind of his Achilles heel. I mean, he could have done so many different shots that I'm not going to go into. I mean, from irons, from 6 iron to 3 iron. But then, of course, when he put it in the hay, and after we just saw what Keegan Bradley did, that the one thing, if you golf at all, whenever you are taking your medicine, you never, ever give yourself a chance to put it back into trouble. And I know he said that it came out a lot better than he thought, and he wasn't trying to go that far, but you just literally just try to get out of the pine straw and barely get into the fairway. Like, the last thing you can do is everything's sloping towards that water. So all I'm getting to is a bit of a heart attack for me that if he would have lost that, and of course, Lahiri made the birdie behind him. And then, of course, Lahiri still had a shot at tying him and making a playoff, which I was kind of almost expecting when he bogeyed that hole. But neither here, it all worked out. And so with that said, I actually had 15 entries into the Millie Maker. Yeah, I only put 15 in. Just because I kind of told you guys from a DFS perspective, I've struggled with the players, no matter, how much analysis and everything. Of course, knowing what the wind was coming and if they were going to even get the tournament in. So I put 15 entries in, and funny enough, I did the best I've done in a long time in a Millie Maker. And here's the lineup. I actually ended up 32nd. Now, at one time, I was in the teens, and if Sam Burns went and just completely fell apart on Sunday. And then when Keegan, of course, was in second and then, took a double bogey, lost 880K on number 18, that didn't help. But yeah, all in all, it was pretty impressive. And funny enough, you guys know the guys that I picked. Of course, I was heavy on Morikawa. So I had 15 entries, and probably 10 of those had Morikawa in them. And so once he went out, that kind of busted a lot. But this was the one, funny enough, the one entry that actually was 6 of 6. And this entry, I give you guys a tidbit that what I do for all large DFS tournaments is I'll put in one entry before I've looked at any analysis for me. I'll just do it on what I know and who I like for that tournament before I start going through all this process that I'll share with you a little bit of. And this was it. This was the entry before I did all my analysis, just going off who I liked from a ball strike. And if you look at all these guys, they're all amazing ball strikers. It's almost like team no putt. So Keegan Bradley, Connors, terrible putters. Neiman is very iffy off and on. Of course, Cam Smith, I guess I should say he's very elite putting, but he's the exception. Hovland, not the best putter, definitely not the best around the greens. So I guess Smith and Burns would be the guys that I'd say are, pretty decent usual putters on Bermuda. Anyways, I wanted to share that with you guys. Hey, if you guys I've always said I love to hear your guys' stories about successes. Anything that's good, because that's of course why I'm doing it. I'm already going through the process for me. Of course, I want to share it with you guys to hopefully help you too. All right, and then of course here was the ticket. Like I said, I put in. I got him at 10-1. I think he was 35-1. I think before the tournament started. I didn't jump all over that. I don't know. It's still a little hard for Cam Smith, especially in that field, to pay those kind of odds. So, but I did jump on him, like I said, once I saw what the leaderboard was going to look like on Sunday. And then just real quickly, just to show you guys some stroke gain data, and then we're going to get right off this. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on the players. I think it actually ended up being a pretty good watch on Monday. Luckily, I didn't have much to do on Monday except get you guys a show. So I got to watch quite a bit of it. It was a little hard not getting to watch golf on Friday. Very minimal on Saturday, it felt like. So with that said, if you want to know how guys shook out, Cam Smith, if you gain 11.5 strokes with the putter, you are probably going to, win a tournament. That's crazy. I didn't know his number was there. I knew he only had like 100 putts for the tournament, but I didn't know he gained that many strokes on the field. Of course, one I want to also, as you probably saw, is DJ out of nowhere, ties a course record with 63, lights up the back nine with a 29, and just went in fuego. And I just want to point it out so you can see what he did. I mean, he gained everywhere and then gained over 5 strokes with the putter. That's huge for DJ. Of course, he's playing supposedly in this upcoming tournament. We're going to have to see. I told you guys we're going to have quite a few probably with draws. Right now, we have a pretty good feel for the Valspar. I'm expecting it to start kind of falling apart. And we already, if you haven't seen that, Paul Casey, which is hilarious because that's who I was going to use for a one and done, has pulled out of the tournament. And we're going to have to see how many more of these guys do that. So, anyways, Harold Varner, actually, I think he was your tournament winner if that guy could have just made some putts. I mean, that guy missed on Monday probably 5 really good looks for birdie, minimum. I mean, like I said, he was leading, I don't know if he was leading going into Monday, but I know he was up there, led the tournament here and there. So, HV3 is here, and I think he's very alive. He had Russell Knox, which was not my super long shot, but a long shot. I tweeted this out. Of course, I shared that last week. He was 180-1, and I literally tweeted when he was like, I think he was 9 under, second place or third place, whatever it was. I think I tweeted it, and literally he bogeyed the hole, went down to 8 under. So I was like, there you go. Keegan Bradley is going to be very interesting. Of course, last year he was runner-up to Burns, and of course I also picked Burns to win this tournament last year. I think that was 80-1 which was actually really nice because he had that really good West Coast swing. Everybody, the odds makers, all the analysts out there were all about him coming. And so then when the Honda, the Arnold Palmer came, and all the Bermuda courses came, we thought that's where, everybody thought, hey, that's where he's going to win. He did not. He actually, I think, missed some cuts, and everybody kind of got off him. And I was like, I think you guys jumped off this train a little too soon. And lo and behold, we hit Burns. So hopefully you were on that bet with me last year. And I was going to be curious to see what he does this year, because right now his driver, his irons were off, and his driver was kind of Well, yesterday, the day before, his driver has just went, which is very untypical for him. It's kind of went south. His irons actually wasn't too bad, and he's not on here, but just take me for my word. And then last thing I'll mention is Lahiri. Anibal Lahiri, like this is golf right here. If he would have won that tournament, like I said, awesome for him. I think he mentioned like his last good showing. I'm gonna forget now. Maybe it was a Memorial like 5 years ago. Like I've watched this guy. I've even used him in a showdown, depending on the tournament, because he can get streaky hot. But his irons have just been trash, and of course he put some lead tape, puts like 3 ounces of weight on his irons, and all of a sudden, I think it was more mental, but literally he just starts crushing his irons, gains 4 strokes of that. His putter also was. I guess he's typically a pretty good short game person, which, like I said, I don't follow or keep a close enough eye on Lahiri to know like where his strengths are. But you can see he just gained across the board. And when he yanked on that par three, just looked like literally one of the shots I would hit, just a smother hook, 4 iron, and way over. I was waiting for him to blow up. To be honest, I was just waiting which hole, and then he finally did double bogey that hole, or did he bogey or double? I know he got back on the green. I think he double bogeyed that hole, but then came back, birdie 17, had a chance to birdie 18 and push the playoff. Like, good for him. That's all I'm saying is, I think like everybody that really follows golf, when you see someone that has not been in contention, especially at like almost the fifth major, you're just waiting for the guy to crumble, and he didn't. He hung in there. So, okay, enough about the players. Let's talk about a few things that I talked about in the preview show, and we'll go jump over in the analysis. All right, so I talked about yesterday in the preview show, as always, what is the skill set that the player needs, that we're looking for, that can win this thing. And then I set like kind of a ranking of how my larger models can be built, and then what I'm going to focus on today. Of course, that's ball striking is going to be heavily weighted. And if you don't understand what that is a combination of how well you hit it off the tee and how well you hit the approach. And what it kind of typically highlights is the guys, if you're a really good ball striker, it typically means the 200 to 175 kind of range you're really good at, just the way that you strike the ball. Off the tee definitely shows up here. I do want guys, I was kind of back and forth because this is a tighter course. There is some woods between good drives and off the tee. The difference with good drives is, you can hit the first cut, and then you have to, it measures that how many drives you hit to the fairway and the intermediate, the first cut, and then hit your approach. So it kind of ties that all in, but it doesn't really go about distance. And I kind of want guys a little more distance that hit fairways. So that's off the tee. Approach is always one of the most, it's usually in a number 1 or number 2 stroking category, but I put it third because I already got ball striking there. But they're going to be still pretty equally heavily weighted. Around a green, you're going to need these greens are, I don't want to say they're smaller, but they're on average to smaller greens. And you also got some really long par 4s. You got really long par 5s. You got long par 3s. Around the green is going to show up. Putting, funny enough, it can be done in a lot of ways, just like we just showed with Cam Smith. But on average, if you look at the past history of this, putting isn't as predominant. But of course, if you go out and gain 12 strokes with the putter, you could definitely win this thing. Scrambling is going to come into fact. There's trees, there's areas that, tighter fairways. There's also elevation. Scrambling does show up. And then the 2 procs to the pins. Here comes that ball striking area, 175 to 200 is at 24%. 200 plus is 23%. And then you got these long par 5s. 3 of them that go 550 to 6. I think one's over 600. So there's 4 par 5s, 9 par 4s, and 4 par 3s. What's unique with this par 71 is you lost 1 par 4. Usually you lose a par 5. You also got these really long par 3s, which I think is one of the strong defenses of this course. They, all of them average somewhere about 200 to 225. That's usually rare. You usually have like a 160, 150, but all these par 3s are long. And then, you guys still can make birdies. I'm guessing somewhere in the teens, depending on the weather, is where this will end up. Okay, last thing is I always do this comparable courses. I use that to, kind of sift through all my players, kind of give me that final nudge, put me out of some guys I wasn't thinking about. And so the courses that I'm looking at, RBC Heritage, of course, it's Bermuda. It's a tight course. It's a par 71, I believe, off the top of my head. I always forget if it's a 70 or 71. I'm pretty sure it's a 71. Of course, that's at Pete Dye, but it's a good course. Whenever you need guys to be accurate, just throw in RBC. You also got TPC Southwind. All these got that Tiff Eagle greens that these guys, Tiff Eagle Bermuda, that they'll be putting on. Of course, Arnold Palmer, a little bit longer, but a lot of similar conditions. Also, is water on 9 holes on this course, so want to make sure I bring that element. Of course, the Honda, very similar. I believe that's the par 70, actually. Playing around, 7,100 yards? Again, I don't remember all these by heart. But long story short, Tiffanyville Greens, a lot of similarities, Florida. And then what's the closest from a kind of specs? So a par 71, 7,300 yardish, 72 and a half, whatever. Um, and also the Tiffanyville Bermuda Greens is actually the Waste Management TPC Scottsdale. So I threw that in there, even though the playability, I mean, you can't go all over the map at the Waste Management because you'll get in the desert, behind cactuses and stuff like that. But it is different without having a tree line course. I do feel like for the player's eye, that does switch things a little bit. And then, of course, the players that we just saw also very similar green types, distance, par 71, and yardage and water and all that stuff. All right, that's the comparable courses. You can see who's done the best over the past 24 rounds, 6 tournaments on those sets of courses. Of course, Valspar is included in those comparable courses. All right, let's go jump over into Fantasy National and let's go see some analysis. Okay, so I've hopped over to fantasynational.com, and again, I always put a plug out for these guys. If you are trying to do your own analysis and you're doing it through like PGA Tour and Excel spreadsheets and all that crazy stuff, I promise you, spend the $20 a month, your life will be so much better, and you'll be able to do a lot that I do and do other things that you might want to see that I'm not showing. So I highly recommend it. In short, I want to go over real quick what we're going to be looking at here. I've got no filters on. I'm looking at the past 12 rounds, so last 3 tournaments these guys played. I always like to kind of always err to recent form over, hey, Patrick Reed was a stud, 2 years ago. Great. That doesn't help us now. And so also what I did, just so you guys know, I took those comp courses first. I plugged all those in. It gave me kind of a first look at the guys I liked. I also had putting over here just see how the guy's been putting. And then that kind of like gets me to this point. And now I'm going to give you guys from that the look of no filters. Looking at this mini model, I'll go over birdies. Of course, we got over here how they've been doing over the last 5 tournaments, recent results, and in tournament history here at Innisbrook Copperhead. All right. And then also ball striking off the tee, approach are weighted heavily, like 25% each. And then this proxy to the pin as shows up, as I mentioned, around 25% of the time. 175 to 200, and then around the greens, I put in there as my top 5 stroke gain categories that I want to focus on. All right, so right off the bat, how I kind of do this, if you've not done this, is I go through it from a kind of pricing segment and kind of pick out the guys from each pricing level that I like. And I'll tell you a little bit why I'm not picking the other guys. But yeah, off the bat, I mean, the guy that I said last week, I always have the guy in my mind who I think is going to win the tournament from before I even start doing analysis. And my guy here, instead of Morikawa last week, is Victor Hovland. Now, again, I have a little bit of hesitation that some of these guys that just went through the players for all 4 days are going to be pretty tired and burned out. But if I literally weeded all those guys out, I couldn't even put a team together to some degree. So I'm going to go with the guys, removing that and saying, okay, who fits this course the best? And if a couple things go right for them, they can easily win this tournament. Now, JT, still played a really good tournament, had the toughest side of the draw. No reason why you couldn't go with him, but if you've been with me for a while, you guys know I typically fade the top guy. Especially, I'm kind of a little more higher on Victor Hovland now. Victor, at times, very, very rare, can have some issues with the driver. But over the 2, I will take Victor first to get me in the fairway with the distance. That's numero uno at this course. If you're hitting it wayward, you're going to struggle and probably not make the cut. So not that JT has been hitting it bad off the tee recently. You can see over his last 3 tournaments, he's ranked number 2. So 1, 2. I mean, you could literally start a team with these 2 guys and fill in the lower. I'm not saying you can't, but I'm not going to sit here and pick the top 3 guys and go, oh, this is who I'm going to go with my core plays. So I would rather go with Victor. And I don't think I have to sell you on Victor, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on him. But you can see the guy's still making a ton of birdies, a 4th, a 2nd, a 9th. He had the miscut at the Waste Management. Just had a bad opening round. That kind of is what threw him off there. And then a tournament of centuries, out of 38 guys, not a good showing there. But we also know he had those wins across the pond. So one time I know he was like, won 3 out of his last 5 starts or something crazy like that. Long story short, the guy is playing amazing golf. I don't see any differences why this will change. Literally, his putter is what kept him from winning the Players. And he said that it wasn't so much as chipping. He had a couple missed chips, which that's going to happen with everybody. He just wasn't making the putts that he typically makes. So I have a little better feeling that the putter will come back to where it needs to be. You can see he played here just once last year and had a T3. I'll show you also Justin Thomas, just so you see good course history. It's been a little bit. So he played it 15, 16, 17, and then hasn't played it for a few years and had a T13 last year. Um, like I said, I don't think I need to sell you guys on either of those. I'm just letting you know that I'm going to be whatever lineups I do put in. Again, we have a milli maker for this. It's a $15 milli maker. So it's like 300,000 entries, which, your odds just even got worse. Where at the Players, I think it was 120,000 entries and it was what, $25, $20? I forgot now. But long story short, it's even harder. So, you're going to have to get a little differentiation. That's probably going to come more of the guys below. But yeah, my first guy is going to be Victor. The next guy is, Colin. And I was all over him for the Players. He got the bad draw. So did Justin Thomas, and he got through it. So, kudos for him. But also Colin Morikawa did not play competitive golf for like almost a month. So let me see here. Yeah, since the Genesis. So it was like 2-3 weeks. And I think that does hamper guys. And you can see ridiculous, over his last 5 tournaments, second place, a T7, a T5 at the Century, the Genesis, which I don't even think that's that great of a course for him. It was a T2, and then, of course, the miscut the Players. I think he ended up 4 over. But, yeah, that was he just missed some putts and wasn't, well, let's go take a look. We'll look at Morikawa because I think maybe that'd be interesting to see. I think, yeah. So he just wasn't sharp. He didn't gain or lose with a driver. Lost, almost 2 strokes of the irons, which is so rare to ever see that. And then the putter, I almost feel like the putter was more of his kind of hiccup than anything. And then if I just click on where he's done his best, just so you could see, of course, he won the Open, but that wasn't really an Open. That was just a regular old tournament that, it had no conditions of an Open. It was just perfect conditions to play golf. This is at Concession in Florida, I believe. Let me just confirm. Yep. The Concession's the one event at Jack's place there in Florida, which is a good comparable course too. I think I've been using it for all the Florida courses. Of course, he won the PGA at Harding Park. Let me see if there's anything that just stands out. Let's just see. We already looked at Valspar. I don't know if you see a lot of those tournaments I put in. So he has played RBC. I didn't know if he played there, but he had a 7th. So that's pretty interesting. What about the Honda? I don't think he's ever played that. What about the Arnold Palmer? So he had a 9th back in 2020. But anyways, again, I don't think someone I need to sell you guys on. I think you got to you kind of got to look at these 10,000 guys, right? You got 11, a 10-8, a 10-7, a 10-3, and a 10-2. And you got to make your decisions where you want to go. And out of those 5, my picks are, I'm sticking with Hovland and Morikawa, what they do. Xander's been playing pretty good golf. I'm not worried about, he blew up on number 17, like a lot of the guys did. And so you can see, but over his last 3 tournaments, he's been playing good golf. And this course kind of fits his game. So I have no issues with him. And then DJ, right? I mean, out of all of them, DJ would be the one. But of course, he went out and shot that 63. And maybe DJ's fine in form. We're going to talk about him from a one and done perspective. But, if I got to pick out of those 5, my guys who's going to be going with Hovland and Morikawa. Okay. Moving on, Louis Oosthuizen. Actually, we'll talk about this on one and done too. But from the most strokes gained over the past 5 years, Louis Oosthuizen is your number 1 guy. So, again, I don't remember what his draw was. I know he made the cut, of course, as you see at a T42. Let's go take a look at how Louis did from a stroke gain perspective at the Players. All right. So funny enough, wow, gained almost 5 strokes off the tee, which is a good thing for going into the Valspar, but is losing on approach on those last 2 events. And this is what I've been talking about is, he lost just a hair against the field with the putter, but he had this track record for a while where I was trying to tell you guys why I was off was the putter. Then he came back on Bermuda. Both of these are Bermuda, the Honda and the Waste Management, gained strokes, but now he's losing with the irons. So I have nothing against playing Louis. It's just not the guy that I'm going to go with. And if you want to see his past, as I mentioned, incredible tournament history here. Of course, he also lives in Florida. I forgot exactly where, but uh, I think he's on the east side, but neither here or there. So I don't know if he's going to get to sleep in his own bed. Of course, he has the back issues. I'll be curious if he doesn't withdraw. It's like a Jason Day, like the guys that we know physically have some issues at times. So keep an eye out for that. Maybe that's even part of it where I don't, I've had Louis withdraw me just too many times. And so, yeah, I'm going to pass on Louis. T Hat, you can see, even though funny enough, the golf over the last two tournaments has been good. I think he's been doing it with the putter. Let me go take a look at this. Gaining 8 strokes on these last two events with the putter, but it is on Bermuda. So you could look at this two different ways. Let's say he gets the driver back to where, he's typically a pretty decent driver of the ball. He's usually very good with the irons. Usually not this good with the putter. You could have something there. I mean, so you could make an argument either way. Right now, my argument is going to be that he's not doing the ball striking, and that putter cannot keep making 8 to 9 strokes against the field. I mean, he's not going to. There's no way he's going to keep this up. It's happened before, but we'll just say he's already did it back to back. To do it back to back to back, I highly doubt it. So T Hat, I'll be off. I like him for a showdown play. I don't think his betting odds is that good, so not something I'm looking for a bet. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Shane Lowry. All right, so we're in the 9,000 range now. And that's who I'm leading off with. You can see over his last 3 tournaments, everything from the model perspective, he is ticking all the boxes you see. Projected ownership's a bit high. But also, we've liked what we've seen. Of course, I mentioned on his DP World Tour that he has done well over there. Came over here, also playing well. Has played here once at a T49. What I know about Shane Lowry that I don't have to even go into is that he's had 2 good finishes at the RBC Heritage, which I'm using that and Sanderson Farms in my brain are 2 great comparable courses. I can highlight that for you. So there's RBC 2019 and then RBC 2021. He had a 9th. Typically pretty accurate. Keep it in play. Good with the long irons. So I'm all over Shane Lowry at 9,700. Sam Burns, right? I mean, we're going a little bit on faith that the game's going to come back, and I'm going to show you guys something I think that's a little interesting. Of course, pretty good course history here. Won last year, a T12, a T30 before that. And what is interesting, if you go back and look at Sam Burns, when he won last year, he had 3 missed cuts and a miscut and twice in Florida. Arnold Palmer, the Players, Valero, then he had the showing at RBC, showed up at 39th, and then comes out and wins Valspar, I don't know, a couple weeks later. And if we look at what's going on right now, a miscut at the Farmers, miscut at the Phoenix, Genesis, showed up at the Arnold Palmer, okay at the Players, fell back, of course, on Monday. The driver started to kind of go wayward. But, yeah, I'm going with that. I think it's going to be a Sam Burns. Now, will he win? I don't know, but will he top 10? I think he can. So, with that said, that's my 2 picks in the 9 range. Of course, I mentioned Paul Casey with Drew. Brooks Koepka, I'll talk about from a betting perspective. But, of course, if you're playing it from a DFS, you just got to hope he has a good Thursday. And if he does have a good Thursday, it seems like his interest kind of peaks and away he goes. Abraham Ancer, I think, is an interesting play. He does the things that I want. He just hasn't been playing the golf that I'd like to see. Of course, one of the comparable courses that he won at is, I believe, his first win, right? TPC Southwind for the WGC FedEx St. Jude. Won in the playoff with Sam Burns and also Hideki Matsuyama. Jason Kokrak, an amazing course history here. I'll talk about him from a one and done perspective. But yeah, for 9,200, that's a little steep for me. Tommy Fleetwood, of course, was leading the Players for a little bit there early on. Playing good golf. Hopefully Tommy's back. But again, for 9,100, I'd rather go to Fitzpatrick at 9,000. I think he is a better fit for this course. Also has done well at RBC Heritage. Great recent form. Of course, he missed to cut the Players, but had a bad draw for his tee times. And again, I'm running through these guys a little quick because I actually already recorded this and somehow it went poo-poo. So I apologize. So I'm not going to go into a ton of detail. Jason Day, I don't see him. I see him withdrawing from this tournament. And of course, with Jason Day, you're going to get the one pop-up and then he's going to kind of fade back to the pack. So no, Bubba Watson also had the good round at the Players on the windy day, had the bad draw, but then fell back, funny enough, on Sunday, Monday. Not going to go with Mr. Watson, but he does have a pretty good course history here, so someone you could think about. Going to go to Alex Noren, just been playing good golf. Has that goofy fade off the tee, goofy tee upset, but had a T21 here. Has made the last, 5 cuts, a T5 at the Honda, a T6 at the Phoenix. Price is kind of reflecting that a bit. And we can go click on Noren real quick. Pretty accurate, like I said, hits that, kind of patent butter fade. Does gain on Bermuda. Tough course. He's had a second. I think the 3M's kind of interesting, right? A lot of water. The Honda, tough track. He's actually had a very good showing at the Honda, so he likes that course at PGA National. Let's see if anything else. The Phoenix Open, so TPC Scottsdale, which I think is a good comparable course. We'll talk a little more about that. And RSM got a bit of the water. So yeah, I like the way Alex was playing. HV3, I told you, I think he could have been your winner at the Players if he could have just made some putts within inside 10 feet. I mean, he has so many birdie putts he missed. So the guy's playing, had his win over at the Saudi International. He's in good form, the T6. Now, also what I know about HV3 is he's best finish on the PGA Tour was actually at RBC Heritage. I talked to you guys a bit about that. He charged up the leaderboard on Sunday, was just making tons of putts. So the putter goes, HV3 could be very alive. Gary Woodland, he's got those 2 T5s, and then, of course, I think he got a bad draw. I'm kind of still wait and see with Gary Woodland for me. I'm guessing ownership's already up. His price tag's up to 8,500. Again, this field's stronger for a Valspar, but not super strong. I'd rather go to Keegan Bradley. Showed here in the past that he can do it. Just, a few putts he missed there at the end on Sunday when he needed them. Playing really good golf. Now, of course, that could change, but, he's had 5 made cuts, and it's trending pretty much in the right direction. Really good showing at the API. Great showing at the Players. Everything from a modeling perspective. And also, you can see everybody else is seeing what I'm seeing. So, projected ownership. He could be super chalky. He could be a chalk bomb. He could go out and miss the cut. So, something you got to think about, but everything's telling me I got to play Keegan. So, I'm going to, he's going to be in my top 15 plays. Webb Simpson, nope. Even I think he had the good draw. Shot 3 over on Thursday. Just not seeing him. He had that one showing at the RSM. Other than that, nope. Kevin Kisner, could be a decent play here. Showed quite a bit. He had an interesting comment that as a golfer, you know this, but you just don't think about it. He said, typically TPC Sawgrass, except for I think it was, 4 or 5 years ago when he had a chance to win. I think it was the playoff with Ricky Fowler. Missed that putt and then lost in the playoff. But long story short, he said that, TPC Sawgrass, typically when it was played in May, was not a good course for him because he had to hit longer irons in, which you're going to need those longer irons in here. So if the course is, fast and dry and hard, he's hitting 4 irons where other guys are hitting 7 irons and they can hold the green. He cannot, which, like I said, that if you play the game. But I just thought that was kind of interesting. And again, it just shows why distance and accuracy off the tee does give you, quite a bit of an advantage. So other than that, like I said, I'm out on Kiz. Knox, I think he had his Super Bowl. He was so excited to end up with a T6. Of course, he was my super long shot. Almost came to fruition. But I'm out on Knox. Tringali, typically he gives you 3 good rounds and then blows up on Sunday. Right now, he's kind of a stink. And for less, you could play Lanto Griffin. And I kind of think they're, for me, kind of similar what you're going to get. So I would rather play Lanto. And Lanto actually has a PGA Tour win. So if you're going on the narrative of, hey, this is the season of first-time winners that have been waiting to win, Tringali is one of those guys. He's made a ton of money, still has not got that first win. I'm actually going to Adam Hadwin, which is a little unique for me. I'm not a big Adam Hadwin guy, but, he's had good course history here, not recently, but in the past. I like his form and everything he does, and he's been, doing everything that I need. So I like Adam Hadwin for 7,900. I think Seabass could be an interesting play. The driver kind of stays in the fairway or near the fairway. He does everything you'd want. And you can see off the tee, he's actually been doing pretty well over the last 3 tournaments. He also did not get to play in the Players. So he's 7,900, I think, out of sight, out of mind. So I'm going to sprinkle Seabez in there. You can see also pretty good, 4 out of 5. He's never played this track, so I give that a little bit of a hiccup. But he should have been able to get there on Monday and been practicing, like some of the guys that are not. So he could be interesting. Bernd Wiesberger, I didn't pull up what he's been doing on the DP World Tour. What I've seen of him, either he's had like a decent kind of okay finish, or he's missed a cut. So nothing great, I don't think, over there. But you need to go check that out, especially with this low ownership. It could be an interesting play. Mac Hughes, I kind of always stated that he's my Cam Smith light. Does a lot, really great with the putter. Even look a little similar to me, but goofy off the tee sometimes. But I actually think I bet Mac Hughes at the Masters. He seems to show up there. So just kind of a side note there. Kevin Streelman, kind of showed up a little bit the Players, but kind of out on him right now. Just not hitting the ball due to things that we need. I'm all over Aaron Wise here. I'm betting him. I'll talk about that. But this is a perfect showing of, awesome ball striker. Just need the putter to pop. And if we take a look at, he's lost 5 strokes, 4.5 strokes. And he had that little bit of run there where he was gaining a little bit with his putter. And I think we all got really excited. But then he was losing from tee to green. So isn't that so typical golf, right? I mean, you need it all to come together to win. And just hope that this stays the same and that putter pops. And Aaron Wise could be a great play. I think he's a great bet. Sebastian Munoz, I think, is the best value on the board. It's going to be curious how chalky he ends up. But you guys already know I'm a big Sebastian Munoz truther. Playing great golf. If he wins a tournament, it would make total sense. This is what I usually will see if a guy comes out and wins a tournament. Also, he's won Sanderson Farms, which I think is a good comparable course. He gains on Bermuda, but I mean, it is just barely over neutral. You can look at the RSM, could be not a bad comparable course. I didn't keep that in there, but it is water, it is Bermuda, can be wind. So yeah, I like Sebastian Munoz, and I think he's the best play from a value perspective. Brian Harman could be a fit. Keeps it in play. If the putter goes, he could be pretty live for 7,600. I'll probably sprinkle him in. Johnny Vegas, it kind of, we were all kind of high on him for a little bit there, but could be a good course for him. I mean, he does typically hit the fairways, and it has length and can be a decent ball striker, but no, thank you. Molinari I thought would be kind of a sneaky play at the Players. You saw he kind of had a little bit of run there on the early round. But yeah, didn't pan out. I didn't pick him, but I'm just saying I thought he, I think one time I had a bet on him, and then I think I got rid of it before the tournament started. Doug Gim, another good showing at the Players. So hey, look at Doug Gim at the Players. Back-to-back good showings. But no, you can see he's played here once, had a miscut. I think it was kind of a one-time showing, but I don't know. Again, see where ownership comes in. I'm actually kind of high on Doc Redman. I told you I saw him and Lashley when Lashley won the Rocket Mortgage. Now this is like 2 or 3 years ago. The guy's an elite ball striker. For a while there, he was like a fantasy darling. And then all of a sudden his game just kind of went sideways. But you can see it's kind of coming back. I mean, showed up at the Farmers, Pebble Beach, the Genesis. He made the cut. Just got the Honda, but then again showed up at the Players. Played here once, had a T39. I think that's a good price for Doc Redman, especially on the recent form. Yeah, so I'm interested also from a betting perspective. I already mentioned Lanto. I think he's a pretty solid play here. All right, I got to move through the rest of these guys pretty quick. So not a lot of interest in all these guys. CT Pan kind of reminds me. He won at RBC Heritage. I guess his one and only win. Let me go verify this, but yeah, it's been a little while now. Yeah, so 2019. But this kind of would fit where CT Pan could have a good showing. You also saw he had a 9th at the Genesis, 16th at the Honda. If he won, you could literally go, see, there was some signs. So I think I'm going to have to look at him from a bet. I didn't even look at it, but might bet him. Maybe sprinkle him in from a DFS side. I'm actually going to like a Nick Taylor, just what I've been seeing in recent form. Also has kind of a decent course history here. Now, it doesn't exactly fit what a Nick Taylor, but pretty accurate off the tee. You can see here he's been doing well, kind of on and off with the irons. And he won at Sanderson Farms. It was a while ago, but that kind of got me interested in him. So I'm going to be playing some Nick Taylor. Adam Svensson, right? I mean, Awesome ball striker, ridiculously terrible putter. But from a betting perspective, I think he's a great bet. I think he could also, like from a showdown, he works. He's just off and on. Played here once, missed the cut, but that was a while ago. Party Marty Laird, man, just kind of been a solid golf. Now, the tournament history does not show up here, but everything that we want, I like. I like what Party Marty's been doing. So for 7,200, I'm gonna plug him in. And then the last guy that I'm looking at is Mito Piera, right? He had that in the fall, like really started gaining with the putter, and it kind of regressed. But he's been ball striking. Had the 30th at the Honda, a T15 at Genesis. For that price tag, I think he's a solid play. So that's kind of the analysis. I apologize, guys, that I already recorded this more in depth and it somehow did not record. So that was a little faster than usual, but I think it gives you enough. I'll go jump back and summarize this for you guys. All right, so to summarize my top five, my Fab 5 picks for this Valspar Championship, going with Morikawa. I think it was a little blip on the radar. We've also seen where he's missed a cut and come out and won the next tournament. I think it was just, like I said, not playing for a bit. Also a bad PM draw. I'm still very high that Morikawa can come out and win this tournament. You got Hovland, who, of course, just been playing amazing. I don't think I need to sell you guys on Hovland. And we just need that putter to do a little better than what it did at the Players. Sam Burns, we need the driver, buddy, to come back where it's at. Hopefully a little, feel goods at the last place where you've won and it had great history. Let's get back to Sam Burns on what you do. Shane Lowry, just steady. Like I said, good showings at the RBC. You got to keep it in play. Good with the long irons. That's Shane Lowry. And then Fitzpatrick, I'm not a huge Fitzpatrick guy, but this does seem, again, I've seen him do well at RBC. It does seem like this course should fit him. And so I'm going to go ahead and plug him in as my fifth guy for the top five. All right, second guy's in is going to be Keegan Bradley, of course, runner-up last year. Been playing great golf. The putter has shown up a little bit, and that's what we need with Keegan. So if he keeps doing that, also had that was a second or third at Sanderson Farms. So the times that I've seen him actually putt well at courses like this, it's been this course in Sanderson Farms. So everything tells me Norton's just been playing great golf. So I'm just going to keep kind of riding that train. HV3 also, coming off the win on the Saudi International, and I think could have won the Players. Should have been the winner. I mean, again, I'll just state it over and over. If you watched a lot of that golf on Monday, the guy missed, I can't tell you how many birdie putts from 10 feet. That's Harold Varner, but we also see where Harold Varner can make a lot of putts. So Adam Hadwin, again, he's won here, had a T12. Then it's been a little bit, but he's been in good form. Got those into his presser. I kind of like what he was talking about, what he's been doing with his coach. Confidence is going. So I kind of like him. And then, all I'm hoping with Wise is that just break neutral, gain a stroke of the putter. I'm just been waiting for that next win. It's been a long time. And this is a perfect course for him to do it. All right, my unsung, I think the best value on the board is going to be my buddy Munoz. Of course, I'll bet him first round again. Party Mario Laird has been playing solid golf. This is a course that I think he could, just get me somewhere in the 20s, and I'm happy. Mito Piera, I think a lot of upside. Just need that putter to pop. Doc Redman, maybe I'm getting a little excited, but I'm seeing enough to tell me this could be a really good course for him, and he could win this thing. And so I'm interested from a betting perspective too. And then, like I said, a little probably off the cuff, and I don't think it's a perfect fit course, but I like Nick Taylor, just what I've been seeing, and I think he can get me a top 30, and that's what I'm looking for. Okay, I'm going to do one and done for you guys real quick, because I'm not doing it on a preview show, but I was doing it on the Before the Lock, but I just feel like I got a lot to try to get in that show. So real quick, this is looking at the last 5 years of this tournament. Now, again, remember 2020 was canceled, so we don't have anything for that. But if you look at from 2021 to 2016, and you go to who's gained the most strokes on this course since then, Louis Oosthuizen, number one. Paul Casey was the guy who was going to play one and done, but he is withdrawn. I'll state that for the 18th time. Charles Schwartzel, that was a while ago. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think of this course as a good course for Schwartzel, but he's won here. He's had a 6, a T21 as of recently. So I don't know. It's just that doesn't compute to me, but I think he's got to have a super hot putter for him. Birdsley, of course, I could be a great play. Bill Haas was kind of interesting. He's showed up. He's been showing up with some decent. I think for a play 7,000 below, I might look at that. Kokrak's had great form here, so I think that'd be a good one. There's Hadwin showing up. Trying to see anybody else. Of course, Hava's only played her once. Keegan Bradley, kind of already mentioned. This is second place last year, and then some okay finishes before that. All right, so who I'm looking at from a one and done perspective, and I've got to throw a Hail Mary up. Missing a cut at the players with Morikawa. I mean, again, I'm not blaming him. It was just a bad draw, but that really stung. So I'm kind of at that point now where I'm going to start throwing some Hail Marys. So if you're going to stay more kind of steady, I mean, Victor Hovland, of course, could easily win this tournament. I think Burnsies could be a little unique. You know, I know a lot of people know that he won here, but his recent play might get some people off him. I think DJ could be a little interesting. I don't know. For me, I guess I'm going to kind of wait and see. If I want to plug him in later in a major. But if you want, like, he's an elite talent in this field that just shot a 63. So could DJ be coming back to DJ form? There's a possibility there. You got Kokrak, who's had a great course history here. I already mentioned Louis, what he's done here. And then, of course, Keegan, you know, would be an interesting, probably your, I don't know, Hail Mary-ish play. So that's the guys that I'm looking at right now. Like I said, literally had Paul Casey already plugged in there. I got to make that change, and these are the guys I'm thinking of. All right, let's talk about my favorite bets. So I didn't bet Koepka last week at 50-1, and then he moved down to 35-1. But out of this field, giving me 35-1, you know, I'll play Koepka, and, you know, I'm not going to put a ton on it, but 35-1 for Brooks Koepka, why not? Keegan Bradley, I'd actually like to see those odds higher, but because what just happened at the Players, his odds dropped. Typically, I would guess he'd have been like 80-1 in this field. But I still want to bet him. So 55-1 still okay. Aaron Wise, you might get a better number than this. This is all through DraftKings Sportsbook. But 100-1, you know, it's still great odds. And again, all I need is his putter to work, and we can hit that. And then Troy Merritt, you know, kind of out of sight, out of mind. 80-1. He's been playing great golf, and he does what I need at this course. So going to go ahead and bet that 80-1. And then last but not least, 150-1. I'm excited about this one. I mean, he could just, you know, definitely could miss the cut, but he could also win this thing. And he's showing life, and he's got the skill set. It's just a putter for him. And if it happens, it'd be a nice little payday at 150-1. And honestly, the field's good, but I think there's going to be more withdrawals, and a long shot could happen. So on that note, here is my kind of what I like doing now, the super or the long shot. This is not a super long shot. It is a long shot. What we're looking at here is 181 to win, 12-1 to top 10. I bet both of these. And if you look at this guy, he's a rookie. And we just saw great showings from him at the Waste Management where he had a third. And so that was at TPC Scottsdale, which if you just comp the courses from par 71, around 7,300 yards, Tiff Eagle, Bermuda Greens, they are like identical. Now, if you think of the playability, it doesn't have the trees. It's got the desert and the rocks and stuff like that, but you got to keep it in play. There is some water there, just like here, a little less, but pretty similar. So why not? And then really what kind of sold me on this is his showing at the Sanderson Farms. And again, I think it's a great comparable course. It's a little longer, but it is tight. It is Bermuda, and you've got to be able to hit those long approach shots. So, of course, who I'm talking about is Sahith Theegala. And again, kind of a little bit out of sight, out of mind, right? I mean, he was, again, like, oh, everybody was all over him. And then I don't know, I think he missed a cut somewhere here recently. Maybe it was a Honda or whatever. But no, I guess it was at API. But 180-1 to get this kind of talent, right? I mean, just all the accolades coming out of what? Pepperdine, I think it is. So long story short, that's my long shot, and I'll be on that. And, you know, you guys, if you don't like him to win, he could top 10. Hey, again, sorry, I ran through the analysis a little fast because literally I went into more detail, and for whatever reason, it did not record. So I've had to kind of cut a little short. But if you would, do me the honor, click that like button, share with anybody else. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. I put 3 shows out a week. And also, if you want to get my giveaways, you got to be a subscriber so you can tell me typically some feedback. And last but not least, if you'd like, follow me on Twitter. I always keep up with the tournaments that are going on and anything that you guys need to know from withdrawal or whatever. So, all right, tomorrow I will come out with my Before the Lock show, which will have your ownership projections, weather, my top plays from 7K and below, and what else would I be doing? Yeah, watching pressers, anything that you guys need to know. All right, guys, talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day.